Good evening. This is the 18th of October, 2023, and we're coming to you from Wanaka, New Zealand, with Sergio Figueroa and Rebecca Pruitt and me. I'm Jen Rumor, and a whole cadre of wonderful distributors who are keen, like you, to learn and grow and develop, spreading health and expanded income opportunities all over the world. So thank you very much for coming, because without you, we wouldn't do the training. So tonight we'll be covering a whole bunch of topics, and we'll do an enrollment. We'll do a demonstration of a placement, which is very different than a fully donated sponsorship. We'll talk about vision and opportunity in all kinds of ways, and how to maximize the potential of what we have here.
That's amazing. I just want to say thank you to Jen and Judy for welcoming us to Wanaka. It's my first time here. It's beautiful, obviously. It's beautiful.
First minute.
And Jennifer's really exhibited incredible leadership over the last, how long have I known?
Couple of months only.
And I get to do this pretty much full time, but she's working. She's still raising family and putting everything into this. So I really support you and match that energy. So we're really happy to be here and do what we do.
So happy you're here.
Why we did this in the first place, I do come from a bit of a business background as well as professional sport and a raft of other things in my old age. But when this came about, one of the main things that we looked toward was that, I'll be honest, I wasn't a fan of it initially. That's the truth. But I saw an amazing amount of potential that could be structured right. So what we kind of looked at in the beginning was, if we're going to do this, we're going to do it our way. We're going to do it professionally. We're going to do it with integrity. And because it's a very powerful model.
What were you not a fan of? What were you not a fan of?
I think it was mainly the stigma behind it. But
multi-level marketing in general, too.
Yeah, of course. I mean, but at the end of the day, one of the things that I looked at as well was everything's got a stigma behind it. I could make excuses about anything. I could find bad press about anything, and that's the truth. So I thought, well, if we're going to do this, we're going to look at where it's going to be able to sort of be most effective, most impactful, and it is powerful, done in the right way. And in doing that, we wanted to really look at vision outside of just as a business, but what could it actually do for us on a larger scale? So when we talk vision, we talk about, like in our case, why we want to do this at a larger scale. Because when we build a vision, we want to pretty much find a conviction around what we want to do. So when someone comes at me with some sort of objection, I can deal with it. It doesn't matter to me. My goal is our goal. Sorry, is quite large, right? And it's large because we feel like we've got the right vehicle, we're making the right steps in order to achieve that. Not just to throw it out there and just kind of wish and hope. So for us, Fred sharing this, for us, it's about helping kids that either abuse or in unprivileged positions. And what we want to start to do then is be able to partner up with the right kind of people in order to sort of provide something for them. So that makes me convicted and resilient. So I feel like first and foremost, before any kind of training, is that you've got to have that. Why are you doing this? It's important. That's important. If you're doing it just to sell a few bottles and a few kits here and there, that's fine. But for us, we looked at this as a vehicle and a model for much larger.
Like a means to a greater end.
Correct.
And actually, it's not a bad means. Just spread health and wellness and help people increase their income along the way to greater health.
It feels like a step on the way, and it's if worked with integrity, with the same type of heart that you can match your vision to, then it feels completely congruent and not incongruous. You know? So I think there's a lot of, like Serge was talking about, a bit of a stigma behind network marketing, multi-level marketing, because probably in the past there's been little hype companies really push the vision, that's the and that was probably appropriate at the time back in the 80s or whatever.
Yeah.
But I really feel that we're all intelligent, you know, sensitive, altruistic people. So for me, when I weighed this up, it was like, yeah, I really didn't want to do another multi-marketing business. I'd done it in the past and I'd had relative success, so I knew that I could, but it wasn't. That didn't grab me. It was like that felt like a little hard work. What did excite me was the ability to have this be a way forward, and also to open a market, to meet some new people, and to do something significant that was going to impact a lot of people, more than I could reach myself. So that was my on button, and obviously I had a miracle result with product. So we qualified very, very quickly that the product was worthy, and that's a word that I heard. The first contact I had about Vitify was my friend said the product is worthy. Well, that's a really interesting word to use. Like, what does that mean? It means I have to give it a second look. That means I have to pay my attention to this product. So that's kind of something that hooked me in a little bit. And again, I had reservations. I thought we're already busy. Having and earning reasonable money. And so for me, it was like, okay, what's the potential here? When I had my own miracle result, and then I shared the product with a dozen people, and I knew that I had fantastic, like mind-blowing results. I became more and more convicted, and then I said to Serge, it's really tricky because the product is so good, the compensation plan is so good. I can see a huge market and a huge margin here, not just health and finances, but a bunch of other things. And he said, I'll be honest, we'd probably kick ourselves if we didn't take this on and get involved early and see what happens. So our original idea was, let's throw 3 to 6 months of this and see what happens.
Like how many months are you at now?
7 and going, still going. So and when we spoke to the company about it, we talked about what the requirement was to open the country and how that would look, and what was because we've never done something. We've not opened a country with a product, and had a relationship with corporate, with the company itself, looking to us to help advise and help with registration and regulatory procedures, and really look to us as leaders in a market that they didn't even probably know existed.
They actually didn't want to do it. They actually wanted to go to Australia and move in.
Oh, really?
I don't think they knew where in New Zealand was.
Yeah, they
It's the state of Australia.
yeah. So interestingly, that because the lady that introduced product to us knew us from some previous business, and she reached out to us and said, "Would you be interested in?"
You'd be perfect.
Yeah, I mean, we saw that as a daunting prospect, right? We were like, we're pretty ambitious, but we were like, you kind of don't want to screw this up. And there's a lot of people that we have to look after, and we feel obliged to do the best we can for them. Not just about us getting involved at that position and then kind of exiting. That's not on our radar whatsoever. So, and but going back to that sort of vision, it's like, well, we've got the vehicle for it. I mean, yes, we got corporate contact, but we also got the owner who sends us messages, private messages. We ask them certain questions, and he said, yes, we can do this, or we can do
It's
that.
actually asking us to help with consultants and things like that. So, for us, that was not a part of the vision that we had, that we expected, that we'd be given access, but also, and I think Jen asked me this question once. She said, I bet the house must be just wallpapered with vision boards, and I said, no. I said, what we practice, this is just between us and in our relationship, is externalizing, working on how to externalize being a force for good. It's pretty much simple. So everything we do, we kind of filter through that lens. Can we be a force for good doing that, and doing this, and whatever we take on or whatever we put ourselves into. Because we just have such a high regard for, high divine, but really we're both really practical hard workers. So I think it's a good fit. But we looked at this, we weighed it up. And then corporate said, it'll take, based on Europe's progress, it'll take about 12 months to get to the type of volume that we need to bring this into New Zealand. And between Australia and here, we did that in 6 weeks. And then we just,
Number 8 wire.
we just, I think, why did that happen for us, and why has it put us in this position? It's going to get very philosophical very fast, but I think it's important because everybody here is really, really good people, conscious, intelligent people. So I feel like it's put us in this position of relative privilege and responsibility at the same time. And it's a bit like, are we up for both? Are we up for that task of being responsible enough, and then having the rewards that come with that? And then how do we manage that? Because this is new territory. So I think that's probably why, apart from some good strategy and having, good contacts, and my mum, of course, she's my number one staff.
Yeah, she is. Denise is phenomenal. And
Do you know, like, her mum's 84? Maybe just going. And
So-
it's like her number one, like,
so Denise
team.
is
She's amazing.
she's gone she's come out of retirement because she had such a phenomenal result for
She was
her
dragged
own
up.
pain and her own pain.
Actually, she worked on my result first. Before she had her own.
So she saw what happened for her daughter, who didn't have to reach her inhaler anymore. That's hello. And then, she just shares from her heart, and she's expanded her leadership. Now she's hit her diamond level of ranking in this business. That's $10,000 in a bonus and $10,000 a
That
month.
means she moves $100,000 plus of wholesale product in a month herself, between her and her team.
Wow. Is she, she's not a good demographic.
She is. That's
And
very
what's really interesting,
Yes.
yes, and what's really interesting is that 2 years ago, she moved from Victoria, because of the politics, up to Cairns, just outside of Cairns to Atherton, which is a town of 7,000 people, knew nobody, and then had to start kind of from scratch. And then when she had this opportunity, she thought, she already, started reaching out, and she's got business over here and in other countries. And then she thought, what I really want is a team that I can work with and serve and support and do this journey with, who live locally, like in a town of 7,000 people. And now she's got about 25 people in her little town who are all part of the team, and then they have little get-togethers. So she's just happy that. So she manifested that for herself. She really said, I love, this, that it's global, and that I get to travel, and she's coming on the cruise and da-da. But she said, what I really want is to have people who can just hop in, and we can sit down over a cuppa, and I can figure out how to connect the presentation to my TV with a
That's the workout. Can't stick in the phone. I won't go there. 83.
Now, can I just go back to one thing? Earlier in the piece, what we talked about was this idea of network marketing having a pejorative sort of association. And part of the reason for that is in its history, a lot of times was hard sell, or you have to hold a lot of product volume personally. There were downsides to this. So I think in a lot of people's minds, inadvertently, we've thrown the baby out with the bathwater, and I'd like to bring the baby back. So here's my way to do that. My sister very respectfully pulled me up on, I think this sounds like a good product, but because it's being distributed by network marketing, I have to be honest, that tarnishes the product a little bit in my mind. And because it's my sister, she wasn't attacking me. I just really took a step back and said, my husband and I have a company that we spent hundreds of thousands of dollars over years trying to bring a product to market, on advertising, on overheads, on staff. And we still don't have the kind of volume that just helps this be a passive income. And whether we sell a unit or not, we have a lot of bills. For this market and model, there is no expense really unless there's guaranteed revenue. It's a smart business model. And she just relaxed. And I did too. There's not inherently, there's nothing wrong with multi-level marketing. It's the person executing it being obnoxious or pushy, or, the company requiring silly things to make people go broke while they're trying to actually better their financial wellness. What I would say about this company, the compensation plan, and the associates certainly in this team, none of those things are present. So I just wanted to
like that.
address that.
Yeah, thank you. Because one thing for us where our alignment was yes, the product was fantastic, but what was the owner?
And we looked for gaps, like we had to, because we thought this is an opportunity to open the country, but also to affect a culture and to have an influence over how a culture, what we set our own standard to be. And now, we have a team of 800 people, which is surprising. Sometimes we think, that's growing rapidly, and but we trust ourselves, I think, and so we wanted to have something. And I've tried to point out how to put this, but it's like, I know we're really good people, and we wanted to have a vehicle that would justify us putting 110% into everything we did, that could bear the fruit and give us the results of that good intent. So I think, as well as you're talking about, yes, there's been a lot of MLMs in the past that have a lot of difficult things about them, such as having to buy a lot of stock and order every month and recruit a certain number of people, and it's really hard. So it's not a pleasant experience. And we've just thought, okay, here's a great product. If I can move $1 million, we're going to make $100,000. And we can do it the way we want. That's exciting because New Zealand wasn't on the map.
So can we talk for a moment about the way that you want to? What I'd like to highlight here, as most people watching this will have even either seen the global hub or the disruptive wellness Facebook group. Both of those are Facebook groups. And one of the things that I'm just gonna blow your horn if it's hard for you to do it yourselves. Not only did you in 80 days move from zero and acquainting yourself with this product to Diamond, which is 100,000 units and $10,000 a month in income US, and $10,000 bonus, which is hello, happy.
Actually, about $20,000. No, that's US.
Yeah, so
I mean, it's definitely worth it. I'm just.
And while you did that, it's definitely worth it. It's good. I wouldn't turn it down. So not only did you do that, but as you did that, began to create the map to pave the way instead of just figure it out and have everybody sort their own learning curve. There's start with this FAQ, start with this video, start with this, and questions really get handled quickly. So can you address a little bit about leadership?
Yes, because I think what I did was I looked at where the gaps were, and there were gaps everywhere. The company's only been in the US for 3 years. Before that was in Spanish-speaking countries. So only for the last couple of years, it's basically everything went from Spanish to English. Really kind of, I would say quite a basic thing. With the website, back office, brochures, everything was converted from Spanish to English. And I thought, there's no training, there's no opportunity calls, there's no kind of sense of real community that I could see. And I thought, what's going to help scale this and help people share this quickly, rapidly, duplicate easily, and where are those gaps, and how can I bring everything that I was doing before? It's an interesting one. So it's like I realized that I had a lot of skill sets, and so did Serge, and so did my daughter, that we could pull together and actually kind of create this. And I think the bigger the task, the faster you can go. Because I set this task of having to not just build my own little business and worry about who my three were going to be, but how could I really project a vision for this on a much larger scale that could support thousands, tens of thousands of people into the future? I think the rapid growth was part of that, setting a really high target in, so setting the work at a high level. And I think then everything else becomes part of it. Does that make sense?
Like necessity is the mother of invention.
Yeah, I mean, I think when we kind of reverse engineer how we do things, meaning top down. That could be a huge goal or vision or some kind of divine presence that oversees everything, and you want to sort of feel like you of reference to that, and what would it take in order to, like I said, express to be integral, to be a good person, to make an impact in the world. What's it going to take? So that means that's why a goal and a vision is so paramount, because otherwise, what are you aiming at? Right? It's just a machine gun approach. So in doing that, we were to go, well, what's that going to mean? Like, what do we have to do in order to do that? Again, it's not just throwing it out there, just wishful thinking, but what are the steps? What support, training, resources? You know, everything that most people will sort of find as some sort of objection is covered, right? Because we know that that's, so we look at all the stigma things. Does the company have that? Do they have a, I mean, we wouldn't be involved in if they had ridiculous targets every month in order to qualify. We wouldn't have done it. We wouldn't be here, right? So we ticked everything off. We did a training the other day with a guy, and he was like, "Yeah, but you know, it's I haven't done it before, but you know, this list of objections." I said, "What are they?" Because I tell you what, I had them too.
We just said about turning those on the head.
Yeah.
In the way we do business, in the way we want to create a culture, and give it a better name, like give ourselves, because we do this business how we do it now.
Yeah.
And it's not just about resources and training and education; it's about relationships, connections, service, caring outcomes. So they're not they're one and the same for us, I suppose.
Yeah.
Now, when you were just talking about top down, just before we started recording, I would love to share an example that is specific about looking in your back office and top down. So, here's hot tip, tune in. Rebecca and I were looking at, I'm going to do a placement so that we can see how this actually works in real time this evening. And I'm so excited for that. So, well, where do you want to be, Jen, in terms of your rank? And what you need to know is, and for example, if I'm shooting for master, your smallest line, your lowest volume line needs to be 1,000. Well, if you're not at 1,000, that's where you're going to put your placement. I mean, it's so simple. So respect and honor the larger division that you're talking about, and that really works on that micro level. Well,
and it's like teaching someone how to. I mean, okay, the format is so different from traditional business because non-traditional. I'm sure a lot of people have done it, and it's like, where are the strengths in that? That's how we kind of looked at it, because most people aren't business people. Like, if there's any, I would say, kind of a weakness for a lot of people is they want to change their lives and they see an opportunity, but they don't know how to treat it, right? So they're not business savvy. You don't have to be like have degrees, but they don't have any kind of basic business fundamentals. So of course they go out and they see their friend and they start not floating and then trying to force them into buying something, right? And so, but that's paramount throughout the industry is that people get kind of desperate to get ahead, right? And so that desperation leads to leave me alone, stop hassling me, I don't want to buy it, right? But especially for us when we were looking at that, we were like, well, how do we kind of start to sort of help people and educate people around how to get some kind of business education around how to do something, the support around that, so that they can actually reach the goal. So when you have someone in front of us, it's like qualifying them, going, what would you actually like to achieve? Funny thing, most people don't. Because they don't have a vehicle normally to get there. They go, oh well, I could actually, okay, we reverse engineer. This is what you have to do. Right? This is why the vehicle is powerful in the right hands. But that's the same in any context of any business. In the right hands, it can be very powerful.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I said this to a training we did yesterday. People don't want a product; they want a solution. They want hope. They want a solution for maybe their pain or their ailments, but they're not going to buy our product. They're not interested. They don't connect to that. People need change, transformation, hope, something, a new life, a new, so you've got to understand that about people and not just say, this is a great product, push this product on people. Because it's not just about the product. I mean, we love the name Vitafied, and I really resonated with that when I kind of looked at this, because it means Vita means life and Fi means converted. It means just converting life, and I think that we just it's what we're about. So we have a great product, a great vehicle for that, and a huge kind of scope and potential into opening new markets, etc. And we've got a way. So.
Yeah.
I really like what you said there, Serge, because I'm not actually able to put the nail on the head as to why the industry has this bad rap and why people are like, I appreciate your friend to a friend of the day, and she's like, if you start selling, then I'm gonna be shift. And I was like, where does that even come from? And it comes from what you just shared. It's this like people getting really enthusiastic, wanting to get out there and make it work for themselves, but not having the skill. It's that gap in skills. And so that's probably like a critical point, is like how to fill that gap. And what are do you feel like the hub, just going to the steps, the hub fills that gap, or is there?
I think it's a great start.
It's a great start.
I know you're going to comment on this, but I think
It's a really good point.
it's a good point. And
Yeah.
the low cost entry,
Yeah.
there's not really any barriers to entry other than your own kind of resistances and
Yeah.
prejudices and whatever that might stop you.
But that enthusiasm can turn into desperation.
Yeah.
That's
But
where
also what types of people that find themselves maybe attracted to this are people that feel this is achievable because it's a low cost entry, whereas people that maybe are more skilled in traditional business have probably been used to huge investments, mortgaging their homes, taking massive bricks and mortar risk, etc., and have learned from that. They're much more savvy. Whereas people so what I don't like about, you can say with network marketing companies, they prey on hope. Like it's because
and a dream.
Yeah, because people are but maybe they can't do that.
Mhm.
Maybe they're not skilled in business. Maybe they're going to fall flat on their face, but they have the $200 or $500 to get started. So it's kind of setting them up for something that is not serving them. So we really have tried to think about. Just like this, I don't know if that means something. We've really tried with the hub as a start point, and then with the diamond hub to think where are the gaps, how can we help fill people, and we learn it, as we go.
And the trainings that Jen and I work closely, and know the session with you, but it's about investing in people. Like from our perspective, at a position we're in, it's about investing in people.
And Denise is following suit with that as well, doing one-on-one sessions. Her wisdom and her perspective, from having those really, so 83 years young and vital and vibrant. I hope you saw that, Denise. And there's a seasoned wisdom that comes from that. That's beyond Vitify, and there's like life applied is different from life conceptualized, and definitely worth sitting with her. And she's made that offer to anybody in the team. So this is the exemplification of, partially due to the compensation plan and incentivizing us through the global pool, because once you've exceeded rapid grow, you're into having a share of the Kit 500 sales, and that grows into other things. So now anybody who is helping someone else in this company is also helping themselves. So I think that's worthy to be presence, and that certainly applies for this team. Oh dear, there was another thing that I really wanted to mention. As you guys have gone, you brought up different points, and so I wanted to come back to them. I need a notepad. I think at this point, if we want to open it up to questions, like by now you've heard a lot from three of us, mostly these two.
Well, I have a quick question. I mean, just following on the page, I'm thinking about recruiting a person who has no business experience. And they're coming in, like, what would be your top 3 tips to a newcomer into this industry that has no business experience, doesn't want to come across as desperate or pushy, doesn't necessarily have a lot of product to offer as samples, but wants to get ahead, so is kind of fighting this, like, don't want to be pushy without product. What would be some techniques or some advice in terms of conversations? What would you say?
I would think to begin with, I would use the resources that are available, because one thing when you get involved in something, and especially some of the objections around network marketing is I don't get support. And we've got a lot in the team that are actually from old companies and have said this is the best support I've ever received out of anything. Now that's not coming necessarily from the company. The company provides us the product and the ability to pay and the ability to open the market, right? For future markets. And get the shipping right at some point. But anyway, but the rest is up to us, right?
Yeah.
It's distributed.
And so when you've got somebody new, is can I get support? There's always questions that someone will generally ask you in the beginning was can I do what you do? Can I get support? Do I have the time? But support first. Okay, well, at least I can leave it at least I'm not out of my own, not throw it out in the deep end. And someone just doesn't want to either just buy a pack because it's going to help them. So resources. So plugged in. That's why the system's there. We can education and the training. So that covers the objection of can I do it?
Just learn new skills, learn new skill sets, learn the way this kind of business operates, the relationship marketing side of it. What does it mean to have a team that you can rely on, both sort of up and down, and what are the responsibilities that that you need to learn if you're going to be recruiting somebody, bringing them in under your wing and adopting them into this sort of business to help them succeed, because by virtue of the fact that you can't succeed if you're down one don't and the team don't. It puts you in a very interesting position where you've got to learn how to do that if you've never had that opportunity before. And like Louise is the perfect example. She's never networked marketed. She's never been involved in the supplement industry. She's had a lifetime of not working because of injury and illness. And here she goes, she's thriving because she's found that she can apply who she is to this in a really unique way. So we're interested in helping people. Of course, like I have my 3 criteria. People that are already successful, ambitious, can do, have networks, have skill sets they can bring to this. That's something I'm really passionate and excited about, because I feel like people who could see that when we're investing in people, possibilities and promise, they can do more well. That's obviously the types of people that you think they can go getters, and we can move a lot. We can do a lot with that. And then there's people that you just that you want to do the journey with. You just want them to be by your side no matter what. You're prepared to donate enrollments just to have them, be by your side. Come on the cruise, whatever. But then there's people that should really want to give a help with a miracle with them. And they're generally people who might not feel that they have anything to bring to this, but they discover along the way that they have all these kind of hidden gifts.
Yeah, I really love those 3 criteria you shared. That's kind of the vision.
Especially when you have a big goal.
Yeah.
You want to line yourself with people that well, you're not going to attract people that which you think is also people that have say success or well driven and have their own vision for something much larger. And those people will tend to sort of hang out together. So when we got this going, we were like, because in my mind, my personal experience was when I had my objections, and when we said, yes, we'll do this, and how are we going to do that? I said to myself, right, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to think what the 1% would think in this kind of business. I'm not interested in 80%, with respect, okay? Because our goal and vision was up here. So I can't entertain thinking in the 80% part, which is generally around maybe struggle or succumbing to objections, or and so on and so forth. So we've all been so that's why when we say we look for successful people, motivated people, goal oriented, because we know that we can take a step closer to achieving that vision, and obviously taking many people along to whatever their vision is, because that's how it has to work. You can't move any other way. People can say, oh yeah, but you guys started it. It doesn't matter. I've still got to help each and every one through through leadership to achieve that. And see, most people don't understand that anymore. I think it's just, oh, well, you guys started it, so you go the lucky. No, it's not. It's not like that at all. Because I'll tell you what, if we did nothing, we wouldn't achieve.
It's definitely a lot of responsibility. But when we were chatting on the plane coming here about about the 1% mentality. So you've got generally the 80% mentality, or the 80% rule, 80-20. 80% of people will be shaken. Their faith will be shaken. They might get perturbed by things like shipping, and whatever. And then you think over 20% are the ones that are really convicted. What makes a 20%er? And then, of that 20%, you're going to have kind of maybe 5% of those people that are, I was really contemplating this, and I thought, what that is for me, it's that I choose it. I've chosen it. And so when I say I chose to do this, I actually weighed it up for myself. I chose this. I thought, I'm going to do it. I'm all in. I'm convicted because I'm making the choice, so I back myself. It's full personal responsibility. It's not like I'm half in and half out and you coerce me and, oh, then I'm targeting. But the shipping should be here because I've invested money. It's like, no. If I choose to do something, to me, that's 1%. Because I'm unstoppable, I'm invincible. That's what I choose. If I choose the next day, it's still on me. And I think we talk a lot about this. It's about how to help people, not sort of so much like be empowered. Words like that are kind of loose, but if you are choosing, then you choose and you make that decision. If you can apply that rule to your life, then you start to carve the path that you choose, as opposed to having things that are coming up around you that you don't seem to have much control over. Or and it's certainly a learning thing.
Of course, because we're pushing the boundaries all the time. So for us too, it's a holistic business. So it's got to incorporate our spirituality, our mental, emotional, physical.
And the product seems to enhance and encourage, I would say,
All
of those dimensions.
That has to be for us, not interested kind of thing. Right? So
because you could invest in crypto property, and I've said this before, but it's not an impact. It's not an impact-driven industry necessarily. It's not changing lives and being part of change. So that's just.
So I've been making notes like you suggested. And along the way, while I was still listening and paying attention and keeping an eye on everybody in the room, because we're multitasking, I wanted to just share a few things. Okay, so you alluded to the shipping issue. So, we had a 40% increase in demand in one single month for many reasons, chiefly because the product is good, it works, and people want it, and they're sharing more effectively than ever, especially in our team. So that's caused a situation where the company is now running to go, well, we're going to ramp up to the supply, and there's a little gap in there. Or sometimes people would say it's a big gap in there. To the degree that they want to indulge their delight in complaining, it's a massive gap and it's terrible and it's awful. Okay, but that costs something, and that costs opportunity. So there is a saying that Stephen Keller, has said, to the degree that you solve problems, you'll be paid. Early entry into this opportunity means you're going to face all kinds of learning curves. A lot of them you guys have already handled and put up training and pathways and help sort. And a lot of them are going to just come up along the way, like, oh, customs has decided to, throw a monkey wrench into something, and you can't necessarily foresee that until you go through it, and then for the next time you open a country, you can potentially anticipate it. But what you get from being able to, from weathering those storms, is to be on the front of a market and all that volume that as it opens and grows is coming under you, and there's the payment. So anytime I've come up against I wish it was going to arrive sooner, I quickly switched myself deliberately, self-responsibly to, right, there's a reason this is happening, and that's good news, the reason this is happening. And the opportunity, the reason that I'm aware of it is because I'm in the early entry in an emerging market with breakthrough technology that's patented, helping people with health and income. So my first note. I haven't looked.
And it does indicate that there's a market for the product. There's high demand, higher than the company could have anticipated. And you know, if you ramp up production by what was it?
It was like
100.
150,000.
150,000.
About 4 months to do from you know, for the production process. So as soon as we started in April and we did all that volume in 6 weeks, the company said, right, we're tripling production. That was back in April. And for 6 months, it's taken 6 months for that to translate into the finished hundreds of thousands of units of product, which will be labelled for New Zealand coming there in a minute. So it's an interesting one, but I like that take on it.
Yeah. So now I'm going to jump around a bit because there were thoughts that occurred to me, but all of these are really useful. So bear with us. When you go back to inviting somebody. Bosco wants out. We have a mascot. Bosco is making sure that we keep ourselves grounded. All right, so as you may or may not already know, if you're watching this training, you may be new or you may already know this. One of the bases of our compensation plan with Vitafly is called Rapid Pro, and Rapid Pro can be really rapid. So when I strategized and we put myself and my son and my daughter and my husband on my first 3 lines, I had Rapid Pro that fast. My actual kit was reimbursed to me. I was $300 New Zealand ahead, and I had all that product coming, which was now paid for, and an $1,800 or some bigger kit, a $2,000 New Zealand retail value if I chose to sell all those bottles. This is beyond good if it is intelligently applied and one exerts the interest and focus to connect and reach out and learn. So if someone says, oh, well, I don't have the money for the kit, well, do you have it for a week? Because you could actually get your kit repaid in a week. Some people will say, okay, give me a few days. I'm going to talk to 3 people about this and I'm going to come in with them and my Rapid Pro is done right away. That's just the beginning of the journey. There's then ranking up to senior, which is increasing your volume just by another 3,000
just to comment on that type of ingenuity works really well in this type of business because you're always thinking ahead for possibilities. How can I make that happen? How could I possibly pull something like that off? And then you set yourself a task of almost what would look like it was an impossibility, and you're thinking outside the square. So that's ways. And I love the way you say intelligent for intelligent application, because that's exactly what I think breeds success in this business.
And where there's a will, there is truly a way in this business. The founders made sure to create it this way. So, anytime anyone looks to argue that a circumstance is greater than them, I would challenge that politely and empower, use that as an opportunity to empower, because it's all there. Another thing I'd like to just talk about is, firstly, we mentioned diamond training, and some people won't know what that is. So I'll just lightly say, and you can expand upon it if you wish, that if your upline sees that you've got something special going on and you're really applying yourself, they may put you forward as a candidate for diamond training. And if you happen to know about it, you can talk to them about it and ask. Now we're in the what would you call it, inaugural maiden voyage of diamond training at the moment. Some of us lucky few, which is awesome. And there.
Yeah, I got him by the skin of my teeth.
What do you have to do to be there?
No, I just because I think it just started 2 weeks before I joined the company.
1 week.
1 week, yeah. And so then luckily Jen kind of just managed to get me on.
You have to get nominated, and you need to have a desire to change your life in 120 days.
Well, we were going to do it.
I'm so grateful that I knocked me on that.
We were going to handpick, and then, because obviously
I get to get nominated.
But Rebecca had the best idea. She said, hey, let's get the people in the team, the leaders, to nominate who they think would
And that means they have to kind of also be there for them and do. And so the pressure was off us.
Well, I nominated myself by begging, and I was nominated by Lynette, who introduced Lynette. But I
And
didn't know. I
Louise,
didn't know.
actually.
Louise too. So I didn't know that, but I was going to, by hook or by crook, I was going to make sure I was in that darn training. Really. So this is what you can do. You know, when you show up, it will be seen. So you know, be sure to show up. No, be obnoxious, but be sure to show up. So that's, you know, how can you access the diamond training? You can really show up and you can, you know, produce your results.
Yeah, the goal is, and I, you know, this is a brainchild of mine. When I was on a flight with my mum, I went to Australia and went to with Stephen Keller, who's a very successful American. We've had quite a bit to do with. He was doing a tour of Australia and came to New Zealand, stayed with us. And so I went over to Aussie for that, and because I'm originally from Australia. And I went to pick up my mum from Atherton, this tiny town, and we're on the flight from Cairns down to Melbourne. And so I wanted to come pick her up and be with her, and I wanted her to be participate in all these trainings, and she loved it. She just loved it. And on that flight, I thought, I just got this brainchild. A little book that was like that. It's just furiously scribbling all my notes and how I could see how I could help people replicate, or maybe
I
not
couldn't
exactly
read it.
what we've
I
done,
couldn't read it.
but how to train people to get from zero to diamond in 20 days, which would look like, you know, diamond is about $19,000 US just to get to that rank, and then it's about 10,000 a month, you know, and it grows, etc. But what comes with it is all the skill sets about how to, you know, the ins and outs of business, but it's personal development as well. I don't know.
Well, it is all of that, and it's being mentored, it's being championed, it's having a clear trajectory in terms of intention and targets month by month, week by week. So basically, I looked at the two people who had achieved diamond in 80 days and said, oh, they're saying 120, I'm going to just do what they say. So I then have just been doing that, and it works. It really works. So how do you access it?
Can you just share? I mean, you exceeded your expectations, didn't you, in your first month?
I did,
September.
and I got irritated
By
with
double?
myself that I didn't exceed them by double. Overachiever anonymous.
Actually, I think it was
So, what were we shooting for? At the first month, it was to achieve master. No, excuse me, it was achieve senior. And so I did that, and I kept going, and I achieved master. And I was kind of looking at premier, which is the next one, and I said, "Well, I'm going to shoot for that." And Rebecca just said, "Do you think that that's, you know, a realistic shot?" She just asked me for myself. So I said, "I think it's worth the shot." And I was literally 90% there. And I was so irritated that I missed it, instead of being glad that I actually better than doubled the original requirement. Yes, it is good learning. It really is. So, and you share it with a group of people. You just couldn't ask for better. So it's worth, as we move forward, I imagine that this will get remade and reinvented and, you know, over and over and duplicated. So keep an ear on the ground. If you hear diamond training, jump in. If you're interested in building this business. Now that dovetails into something that I would like to say about leadership, and the leadership demands.
Sorry, I'm just noticing.
Oh
the
yeah,
battery.
thank you. I did.
It might
We're going
be-
to plug in. We're already plugged in, but we're going to plug in the computer. We will do that too. It's just okay. Okay, just give me one. This is like one little thing. I'm like, excited about. Oh, thanks for your time. Sir. Well, that's just great. I love being able to look at the camera. That's. Sergio. Okay, I'm gonna be closer to you. So this is kind of, for me, quite key and useful to know. When you become more successful in your ranking, it automatically means that your team is building. When your team is building, it automatically means that you have a duty and a responsibility to help them learn and grow, directing to resources, communicating, asking for, being on three-way conversations if necessary, all that kind of thing. So the leadership demands grow as you succeed. On the fly during that month, because I was so committed to doing whatever the instructions were, Rebecca said something about, oh yeah, you might want to, your big team is big enough now, you should maybe consider creating a messenger group. I didn't know how to create a messenger group. But very quickly I learned how to do a messenger group, and I went da-da-da-da-da, and I started putting announcements specific to my team. It's okay. And that's just one small example. It's really a beautiful thing to have your own success and desire to help cause you, invite you, and really compel you to personally expand. That brings me to something else, which is, we talked a little bit before about, oh, I'm desperate to share this because I have to sell you this bottle. Or I would love to share this with you because I see that it might benefit your wellness. So in one case, you can even hear it coming across the computer. One's a contraction because it's born of fear, of lack. And one is an expansion because it's born of love and a longing to be of service. So it's really useful to check in with yourself, especially if you have a specific target. Oh yeah, where am I coming from?
I love that. And just on that quickly, that's often why when you're really close to a rank, but not quite close enough that it wouldn't be painful to really push, it's a great idea to just think, yeah, it's going to be plenty for next month. It's not, I don't have to be desperate about this. And I know that there's this kind of open invitation to continue to share, and the more I can tune into that part, or really be connected with that part of myself, the more the success is kind of just naturally an external function.
Sure. So there's more to say. We're going to have a dinner break, and we're going to do some adjustments for the sun beaming in on us, and we'll come back in a little bit. Yeah, stop. That one's